Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Lazy Llama Podcast. I'm Quirty, and I'm joined here again by Afro.
Hello again.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
How's your week been, man?
Slow.
Slow.
I'm glad it's the weekend.
Nice.
Need the TLC.
Welcome to our podcast, guys. As usual, we're going to be sitting here talking about a couple of things that we think are worth talking about. The first thing that we've got that I kind of wanted to talk about was I was watching Russell Howard the other day, and he came out with a statistic, which is that suicide rates for kids are doubled since 2008. So in 2015, they've doubled since 2008, and he seemed to tie in social media a lot with it.
Yeah, well, social media has obviously developed in like a new ground for way more anxiety to happen now because of the multiple eyes and the access to information, and especially because it's instant as well.
Yeah,
It's like things can happen all the time, all over the place, and especially because you've got so many different platforms and people are very different, or I say that they're very different online because you've got that barrier, and a lot of people can act very differently, especially if they've got like inner bits where you've got people who have like anger and they like to take it on other people on the internet, as we all are aware
don't
of.
fucking kick the mic, dude.
I will kick the mic.
You're fucking professional. Anyway, sorry.
Did you
on.
like that?
Carry on. What were you saying? Sorry.
No, yeah, but like
Canadian.
honestly, yeah, number one, it's me. No, it's made it worse overall.
Yeah.
But now people have this extra thing suddenly now. Like you not only do you have to worry about like when you go outside and your image like that, like being socially like awkward and having so much anxiety and not liking the social interaction. It's like now you've just put yourself in an environment where you think you've got that barrier, so you can act in certain ways. Like so, you get people who are quite aggressive on the internet, as we all met people like that before.
Everybody.
Everyone who's been on the internet.
Shout out to anyone who plays League of Legends. Everybody.
They're all toxic, including me.
And me.
All together now.
I'm a really nice guy, I promise, but just don't fucking feed my top laner.
Why are you playing Teemo support?
Yeah.
In
What's
my
wrong
rank
with
game?
you? Fucking heathen.
The guy looks in Malphite mid. And I'm like, get out of my rank game.
Yeah, everyone online has the ability to be like really abusive and toxic because you have that shield of anonymity where you're like, no one knows who you are.
Yeah, and I think like you've got that side of it where some people can act differently and they maybe in more positive ways because they don't have the person to like the personal interaction with people, and that deals with their anxiety better because like the in-person scenario is way more of a pressure to them. And in this they go, oh, I feel more relaxed and calm, which is great, but at the same time there's so much more. Now you're worried about what your persona and what you look like and how you're like perceived by everybody else on a much bigger scale because so many people can see your stuff at the same time now.
Yeah, I feel like in like medieval times, like the times before computers and the internet, like
before
the
any
60s,
like, proper like electronic communications or anything
yeah,
like
before
that.
like
Anything
proper like
at all.
social media, like global, even before like celebrities. So, like you're talking like 1800s, like 1700s, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where like there's no like celebrity status yet, really. There's no like
the
fame
1800s.
or
It's like it's more. It's more like you'd have like a family name, or you'd be
you would band together in small communities, and everyone would know each other. So I think anxiety and like the pressure that kids feel now wasn't as prevalent then, because you're in your small community, and maybe like you feel the pressure from your small community, but now like you are constantly like surrounded by like internet role models and like standards, like specifically for girls. If we're talking about girls, like standardization of beauty and stuff like that. Like things that
like they have to be a certain weight and have to be a certain clothes size. And
like
you have to well, it's like models. It's like when you see how some of them are so thin, and it is to the point that they can have like this, like become anemic and stuff like that, and they actually get eating disorders, and they, super detrimental to their own health, whether that be mentally and physically.
Well, you saw it with Jennifer Lawrence. We spoke about her last week, where she said she was forced to pose nude, but basically nude,
exactly.
like in a lineup, and was told that she was too fat to be a film star. And then now, but it also proves that it's kind of bollocks. Realistically, that there's all like a stigma, really.
Yeah.
Because she's now one of the most famous and well-respected actresses on the planet.
It's like your figure shouldn't have anything to affect your ability to do something.
You should be you, man. Unless you're a Nazi.
Unless you're a Nazi, because that's not okay.
Because that's not cool.
That's the opposite of freedom of speech, which is not condoned.
Lazy Llama advice: Nazis aren't cool, man. Just don't be a Nazi. Why you gotta hate? So unless you're a Nazi, I don't understand. People, they tend to, I think, as well, a lot of modern day things, people tend to polarize very quickly now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where if you disagree with me in any sort of way, I'm gonna fucking abuse you, and you're an idiot, and you're
a lot of that is because of you've got, like, we're at a point in history where the levels, what I think it was stated somewhere back in like the 1940s, that the stage of mental health and people in like this, in specifically from secondary school into like university, would be categorized as mentally insane, because that's the levels of anxiety and stress and
just be locked up.
So many. Back then they would have been just literally been called batshit crazy.
But wasn't there like a study recently where it was school kids now have that same level of anxiety and pressure and stress that literally insane people from those times had? They have higher rates, like the pressure on them is that much. So he seemed to link it to social media. I think it's not only social media.
I think it's not actually.
I think it's a big part of it.
As a base of an idea, I don't think social media. Obviously, social media wasn't intended for that. Nor do I think that it was designed in a way to make this happen.
Unless we're cracking some conspiracy right now.
Well, I know, yeah. Illuminati. Yeah. They're going to find us.
They will
now.
become our slaves. We will break them.
I think it's the fact that everyone was given an opportunity. Like, you've got like the instant communication, sharing of information, and people decided to, misuse it, which is natural. People are going to use it in selfish ways, in whatever way they wish to use it. Because it's inevitability. People are going to do that. But I think a lot of that is the reason why anxiety is so high at the moment. It's more the fact that the people, specifically like abusive relationships, can go to another level on this now, where
you can stalk people.
You can the ability to find information and get pictures of people. Is so easy, and that's very scary, because a lot of it is that a lot of times when people sign up, even for something simple like, everybody does like Facebook quizzes, and like it's like, which Game of Thrones character am I, and what kind of fruit am I, or stuff like that.
Do you know what I've just thought?
But they specifically ask before you log on to them for certain specific requirements, and a lot of it is like access to your public profile on Facebook, to your pictures, to your friends list, and like that's how easy it is to then you can send spam to everybody, because everybody in that person's contact list. Then because they've just clicked yes, or I signed the dotted line without reading anything about it.
It's kind of scary. I think what I wanted to say was, we're talking about kids being under a lot of pressure. I think, could you imagine what actual like those role models feel like, the celebrities feel like, where you're literally being like, you must, as a kid, you must feel watched. Like every mistake you do could literally be on the internet. You could be a meme for like ever. Because it's something funny you did, and that, as funny as the meme might be or whatever, that actual social pressure is quite cracking. I think for a celebrity to genuinely, like, because you probably feel like on Facebook, on Twitter and stuff like that, connected to the whole world, and you can be. But realistically, like, we're not going to go stalk some random United States girl's profile and find this funny video that she posted and be like, you're a twat, kind of thing. But
I don't know, man.
But with celebrities,
that's the thing.
There are literal news websites that are created for that. as soon as they make any mistake. Like there's standards that they have to uphold, and it's not them that have put themselves there. I don't think they asked for it. Like this dude could just be in a film that you liked. Like, do you know what I mean? And suddenly you hold him to all of these preset standards you have in your head, and he has to now deal with that, or his career's over, and him as a person, he can't go anywhere without ridicule anymore. And you thrust these people onto these pedestals.
Yeah, well, I definitely don't like in the similar fashion I was talking about, like having multiple eyes and a lot of people being able to see your every move online.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a shockingly accurate similarity to celeb. Like I think that's why people like to be popular on social media, because it's the online celebrity kind of
you're
craze
like a small
that's
celebrity.
been going on in the last 15 years.
Yeah, but even then, it's like
because Facebook started out as just like videos. It was just sharing content, and that was purely it. And now it's become so much more. Like YouTubers get paid a lot of money, and like become icons and become certain it's like sub pop cultures that have popped up.
It still is huge though, because you look at PewDiePie recently and he said the N word. I know he said it multiple times, but it's like I say that like in casual conversation. I'm white. I say it. I don't think it's as huge in Europe or like in European countries as it is in America. Like I think America is far worse of a word.
It's a thing. It's a thing where, especially like in the UK, it's like if it's two white people, or basically any two people, they're from the UK and like they're not black. Basically, this is what I'm trying to get at.
They're not a person of colour.
And between each other, well, no, specifically not like African American.
Okay, sure.
So, and I've heard two white kids between each other say the N word. Yes, you've said it in front of me before.
There's a difference.
But my point is that it was a weird question that I asked myself when I was younger. I was like, if I say that to someone who's not of that descent that it's derogatory to, whilst not being in the presence of them, in a manner that's not offensive, is it racist?
When we say we've said it, it's not like we literally use it as a derogatory term. I think the reason why PewDiePie came down so hard on the second time was because of he used it as literally an insult.
Yeah,
which is
the whole point is
that's
like,
a lie.
You don't condone, be like bullying people and using derogatory terms and slurs and stuff like that to offend and be horrible to people.
No,
like I know a lot of people try their best to take certain words like that and turn them into humor, and which is very difficult to do. Honestly, it's very difficult.
That like using it as an insult is one thing. But to use the word humorously and to just say it for shits and giggles, I think that takes the power, like the negative power away.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what they're intending with it.
Yeah.
But when people go about it that way, like the idea is that it's just a word.
Yeah.
Like I get there's a past. I get there's pain, and everyone's got something like that.
Yeah.
Everyone's always got personal struggles and issues, and that's absolutely fucking fair enough. But at the same time, like I've always lived by the do what you want as long as you're not hurting or intending to be,
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting other people.
As long as you're trying to not actively be horrible to people and or physically or mentally harm them.
Yeah.
Like
just go through life as best you can, man, without hurting other people.
Try and enjoy it.
Like what you do.
Because it's.
But,
I mean.
Yeah, back to my point anyway. Small tangent on
the other half, like
No, about PewDiePie. I think he can the second time is different. The first time he used that word online, it was as a joke and intended as a joke.
Yeah.
And people took that one instance and just went to town on him and slated him, and his entire reputation was almost blown completely out of the water. Now, with me and you, I can say that like whenever in private and just joke about it, and nothing happens because we're not being watched like that.
I know, and I think like
that pressure is
that is what you do allow, like when you become a public figure. or a public icon or whoever. The point is that you've got such a different variety and multitude of people who can see it, because again, free access, it's easy to get it, and it makes it so hard for you, because you know in your head what you're doing, but to try and display that without, like, you'd have to explain everything you did before you did it, which no one's gonna do, because nobody does that. You do things as you think, and you do it. It's like you do stuff, and then a lot of people tend to do stuff, and then they think about it afterwards.
I have a weird thought. This is probably going to be quite controversial, I imagine. Do you think that we're talking about kids obviously being put under, like, being watched by social media, and you feel connected to, like, everyone? Do you think that genders and stuff like that, like people like coming out with, like, do you think that we only conform to two genders before because of oppression, or this weird thought that's just occurred to me now with no basis of evidence? Do you think it's because kids of that age need to branch out further to find their own identity? Right. Because you always want to feel unique, right? And you're used to being around, like, you don't want to be.
I see where you're going.
You don't want to be like your parents. Like, if you got, you don't want to be like your parents. You want to be different. You want to do this, and you find these weird. Like, you always, like, the new generation always adapts weirdly. But in this generation, it's hard to find something that makes you unique, because you've got access to social media, and there's always going to be someone that's like you, or, like, has the same interests, has the same kind of personality. Do you think that, not in like a desperation, but like in like trying to find a way to
a self-searching kind of style
to feel unique and feel individualized, that this is where this is coming from? Or do you think it's genuinely it is oppression of the past, and that this is just how the human race is evolving?
There is documented history of oppression of people, of things like transgender and stuff like that throughout, especially the last 30-40 years.
But it's always been two genders.
Well, the big part about it is that the main thing what I've managed to see and judge is that you've got, I think the word gender and what it means to people is what's changed, get my words out,
changed.
Has changed. And it used to be in like a scientific term, it was split, just between literally, this is what it's called when it has an XY, and this is what it's called when it has XX. It's just a label to tell you that this has got different parts to that part, specifically for this reason, and that's it. And that's a very simple, very scientific point of view. Well, a very basic biology knowledge. But then, like, you get Bill Nye talking about gender, and he's completely with it, on the idea that there are multiple genders, and he goes through it in a way that it's obviously, he talks a lot about how you mentally perceive yourself, like the idea of having like having a very, whether you have a more like effeminate self-identification,
right,
but you may be born, say, male, you have a penis, and obviously it can lead people. Woo!
I'm well, and I have a dick.
Job.
I've won the game.
But like, then
sorry, such choppy water.
To myself.
I don't want to offend anyone. Like, I'm not trying to be offensive. So I've just something I struggle to understand. Is
like, well, the big example is like my granddad can't. My granddad is 78, I think.
Yeah,
and he has a massive problem. Not that he's offensive and horrible to gay people. I've never seen him openly horrible to anyone.
Yeah,
because he's a lovely, nice man. It's more the fact that obviously in the time he grew up, it was taboo, and that's how he would have been brought up. Like, it was wrong and taboo, because his parents would have believed in that, and his grandparents would have believed in that, and it is wrong in my own opinion. I just completely disagree with his opinion.
Okay, yeah.
Like
I thought you just like announced it's wrong to be
no,
gay. Like,
no,
straight- I
no.
was like,
that
dude.
would be very contradictory.
Yeah. Carry on.
It's
Anyway,
like-
sorry. Yeah. It is your granddad's point of view.
But
It's-
yeah,
yeah.
but at the same, this is what I'm trying to say is that he has this opinion. Like he doesn't believe it. Like he's very simple with the like well, men and women together make babies, so that's natural and that makes sense. So
Yeah.
why would you get together with someone of the same sex, because what's the point? You can't have children. It's basically he's like it doesn't make sense. This was the recipe. Why are you mixing around with it?
Yeah.
And very wrong. Like that's a big culture of him just being afraid of change. But like,
Probably.
and even he like I've spoken to him about it as well, and he gets wound up about it because he doesn't understand why.
I was about to say that.
He doesn't. It doesn't make any sense in his head, so
Yeah.
he doesn't understand why. He doesn't go around, shouting, and spitting in
This is
gay
the thing,
people's
is
face.
I'm the same as your granddad, except for not with gay people, but with non-binary people. Because it's not because I don't.
Well,
each
not
to
people,
their own,
but the
right?
concept of non-binary.
I don't like dislike anyone because of it. I don't.
No,
I would never judge anyone for it. Each to their own, man. Like you do whatever you do. It's just I don't understand why this is such a modern thing, and I don't understand why it's only coming about now. And I can't. I understand the oppression.
I think coming back onto the like the open access to knowledge and information and stuff through the internet. I think it's more the fact that it's become more aware because of that. That's why it's so abundant now.
Strange.
That it's got so much attention to it. It's like the same thing with war. It's like we think it's like even though we're in the most peaceful era ever, like we still have war, but we hear about it all the time because we got constant updates and news.
I like that we started off with social media, like the exposure of social media, like it puts so much pressure on young people, which is why suicide rates are up. And then it's just like, but social media also makes you feel more accepted and like expands everybody's point of views to include everyone.
I think that's the point. And it's like you can't demonize something that isn't human because it doesn't have a concept of evil. This is just this is just a computer program that and information on a computer. Yeah, literally. People are the problem.
Like Afro's granddad. Get off of social media.
Trust me, he's on no form of social media. But like, that's what I mean. Like, I don't understand because I've never been through. Like, I never in my head
struggle.
have I been like I identify as a woman and I want to be a woman. That's never gone through my head. Or I don't. Or for example, any of the other options, whether it be I don't identify as either, and or I identify as both, etc. As many as the different multiple infinite combos that there are. Like, I've never experienced any of that.
Yeah.
For me, like I'm a bloke. That's as simple as it goes.
We're two middle class English white men. We're the most privileged people on the planet. We have no concept of any of this. We would love to.
No, in all honesty though,
we've never had to deal with that.
if I could overnight just have a dream that made me understand all of it, and I could wake up the next day and be like, cool, now I know that. Like,
look at that come up on the fucking soundbar.
Yeah, it will. It's the clap.
Like a gunshot.
Get clapped.
Sorry, headphone users. But yeah,
sound warning.
Moving on from this, like to wrap that up, just that little segment because I think it's dangerous and I think we upset a lot of people.
I think overall, I'll put this simply: you do you and I'll do me.
Exactly, man.
I have no problem with however you want to live your life. As long as you aren't hurting me mentally or physically or anyone else.
You do you, boo.
You do you. Enjoy your life. Have fun. Mm-hmm. If you want to have sex with men and women, do it. Just men, do it. Just women, do it.
Whatever, man.
Anything that fits on your dick, go
just
for
have
it.
sex with whatever you want, man.
Apart from animals, because it's wrong.
No, it's fine.
No.
Because you can just telepathically communicate to them and coerce them.
We talked about this.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Stay away from my hamster.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is, as white privileged men, is we we are obviously very privileged, but the one thing that kind of jolted me about what Ross Howard was talking about with the doubling of suicide rates, he only mentioned girls. He only mentioned how the appearance stigma and the body shape stigma was affecting girls, and how it was increasing girl suicide rates. But as we know, male suicide rates are massively high. I don't have the statistics, but I know
they've definitely increased huge recently. Yeah,
and I think guys
it's
girls get a lot of sympathy for that.
The highest suicide rate in males is I think it's the late teens into the early 20s is the 18 to 25 or 17 to 25 stage.
It's I feel like the reason why he only mentioned girls was because people sympathise more with women.
Well, this is talking about the age old kind of stereotypical persona, representation of women and men. The whole where a lot of sexist people spurt a lot of these lines about women being kind of dainty and being
needing
helpless and stuff like that. Yeah, they're there for care and for doing these certain effeminate reference based things, and men are supposed to be quite strong. They don't show their feelings, and they have to be quite honourable and stuff like this. And it's not true.
It's not.
You still have your own mind, and things still affect you. And people men go through a lot of difficult. Some people go through very difficult things, whether it be through death of family or close people, or being in someone being caught in one of the bombings or something like that, and they may have made it out. But imagine the PTSD.
Everybody goes through, but girls, it's okay to talk about, and you're allowed to express your feelings. Guys have to suck it up and move on because you're a man.
Yeah, well, at the same time, I definitely think we are on that age where men opening up and talking about their feelings and stuff like that is becoming more prominent. I think it's on the rise.
You say that, but again, those suicide rates kind of contradict that. It's still heavily stigmatized for guys to talk about mental health. And Russell Howard made a really good point, and I want to put that in. He was right. The story he was talking about that he opened the show with was underrepresented in the media, and no one was talking about this and stuff like that. And he really brought it to attention. I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't been watching his show. So, for him to do this is brilliant. But I feel like it was almost a show trick to talk about females to gain more sympathy for the story. And I think that is a genuine problem.
Yeah, I think that's a very negative intention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Russell Howard's brilliant.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Whether he did it on purpose or not, I don't know. But
it might not even have been him.
No, he probably didn't write the script.
Yeah, but I think, obviously, I want equal representation for, as you call it, all genders.
Yeah.
But just
don't understand
simply anyone.
Why, when you have a statistic like this, would you only talk about one gender? Why would you only talk about women?
I know.
When the other side of the coin is also equally as scary.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you're saying. It does very much look like it's used specifically for the sympathy vote, which isn't. It definitely has a nice layer of unethnical, but it's still a progressive thing. We live in a very big era of change currently. Things are all over the place. We're doing bad things, we're doing cool things, we're doing good things all over the world, all at the same time.
Speaking of people who are doing bad things, and people that I don't have any sympathy for. Sorry to cut off your point.
No, it's a nice bridge.
It's nice.
Hopefully it's fireproof, right?
Segue. Unlike how the Tories like to build houses. I want to talk about this because
here we go.
This is something that fucking hell. This is fucking as I turn my head, like I swear, like I don't know, that was a weird corner of my eye.
Stop seeing
the
things
shit
with
out
your
of
third
me.
eye. We have
Sorry. Yeah, this genuinely.
too many demons.
Yeah, too many demons in this house. Send help, Ghostbusters. If you're listening, save us. No. Yeah, I was again from Russell Howard. This is, but this really, really fucking annoyed me. And I want to start talking about this with a quote from Nick Clegg, who claimed that David Cameron and George Osborne said to him that they wouldn't build social housing, or that he should forget about building social housing and stop talking about it because it only creates more Labour voters. Now this really fucking is something that annoys me in modern politics, because the party system, I think, is fucking bollocks. I understand how it works and why it's in place, but it's almost like become a football fucking league.
Yeah.
It's almost like watching the Premier League or something like that, or the NFL or something. Like you have
literally no
teams
fun.
like that whose whole goal is no longer to serve the country that they're
just
put
to win.
in charge of. It's just to win, and then stay in power the longest fucking possible.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not the point. If you're becoming a politician just to become the prime minister, fuck off.
Yeah.
But like, unless you're doing it to genuinely make a good change for the people that live in your country, that should be your number one priority. Not winning seats, not refusing to build social housing because it would create more seats for the Labour voters. I want to bring this up again. Under 50% of people in England own their own houses. There is a massive housing crisis in England, and you get weird things happening. Like I've got written down here. In order to avoid higher rents for tenants, 309 Conservative MPs voted against forcing rented homes to be made fit for human habitation. They voted against making rented homes fit to live in. No Labour, no Liberal Democrats, no NSMPs voted for that at all. 309 Tories. There's something wrong there. There's got to be something wrong there.
I'll tell you from like my own experience from like living in like shared accommodation and stuff like that. I'll tell you what, it is very much, if you're renting with a company or whether you're renting with I think especially when you're renting with a company, I won't say any names, but
say the name.
Just straight up drop them in.
Drop the name.
No,
don't drop them.
It's good in the fact that they were very efficient, i.e. if you had a broken, like if you needed to call them in, like if you had a broken door or whatever, or you need something repairing, they were quite quick with that, and they were quite good at, you know, just getting money transferred and you paying your rent, and it's all quick and easy. So they'll keep in contact with you, which was nice. But it was more the fact that they would input rules and like regulations, you know, to keep the shared accommodation, especially the communal areas, clean.
Yeah.
Because at the bare minimum, it's like, well, you know, it's the tenants who live there responsibility to keep it up. And it never was.
No.
I see. The difference for me is that because I didn't spend, I'm normally out most of the time, easy 90% of my time. So there's never any mess to be made because I generally don't use anything at home. Like I'll make something and then I wash it up and then I put it back.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I'm like, well, I'm not going to use it again for 2 weeks, so I might as well wash it now. So you would have this one little square of like in the kitchen where it'd be my cupboard and like my drawer and stuff like this, and it's all clean. It's all clean. It's got nothing on it, and then just everywhere else, just shit.
Yeah.
Like literally, like pans that haven't been cleaned in weeks, and it's like, I get being a little bit behind. Well, maybe you've left it to, you know, like soak in like the sink and stuff like that, and then you need to then, you know, actually clean it again the next day. But to leave the whole place like that, and generally I could go. I'd go away for 3 to 4 days without going home, and then come back, and it's like that happens 3 or 4 times. I come back, it's still the same. And I'm like, it's been 12 days. Like, but did everyone leave? Something like, but then there's no like they threaten. I say threaten. Well, you know, they do the warnings when like they'll have someone come in to inspect like once, I think every 3 or 4 months, and they'll come in, and obviously if the place is a fucking tip, then they send the letters to you all individually, and it basically goes. Obviously, there's been a recent issue with the communal areas not being kept to the standard. Basically, if this continues, people get fined, etc.
Yeah,
and they say that, but we got only 2 letters sent over the space of 2 years, and that fucking kitchen never got any cleaner.
The thing is, right?
They're like, that's what I mean. It's not a priority for them.
No, it's not. But
that's where I'm. That's where I'm.
And
going
that's
with,
one thing. Can we talk Grenfell? Everyone knows about Grenfell, right?
Grenfell
happened earlier this year.
No pun intended. Really does fire me up. Sorry. No, like
fired the residents up too. Sorry.
No, but like you don't. If you know there's a hazard, specifically if it's flammable. I get it. There's some materials that are extremely useful in many situations, but they're also flammable. That's why you put warning labels on things to let people know. So it's common sense. Don't do this. You'll be good. But there's no warning. There was no warning. There wasn't aware. Like none of the tenants were aware that it was highly flammable at any point.
They just
built their house. And these people never told them about it. And it's like giving them a house made out of matchsticks.
Literally is. And
then telling them to light a fire in their house and see what happens. They basically saw a trap on the floor. But I went, oh, someone probably walk into that. I won't dismantle it or move it out of the way or warn people as they come by. I'm just going to leave it and walk away. Because that's not my problem.
Do you know how much?
Literally what happened.
Do you know how much it would have cost to fireproof up that building?
How much?
It's right in front of you.
£5,000.
£5,000 it would have cost.
That's it.
Do you know how much the Kensington and Chelsea Council, where the Grenfell building was in, had a budget of?
170 million.
They had a budget of over 270 million. It would cost 5,000 scrap change to fireproof that, to make that building suitable for people to live in, like actually safe for people to live in. In 2015, they spent £5 million on an opera group, but spending £5,000 to make your house safe to live in.
It's a very simple thing. It goes right down to the root of evil. Does it make money?
Yeah, exactly. That's all they care about.
Does it make money? Does it make money?
Nope.
More money to buy more votes, to buy more power, to buy more money.
Yeah.
Buy money.
Buy money. We're going to buy all the money.
No, like literally, like that is what you do though when you when you buy say digital money for like games and stuff like that. You're just buying money.
Yeah.
You're buying ones and zeros, but
buying digital currencies.
Digital currency.
But I just want to. It's something's wrong when the people in power are only concerned with staying in power and getting as rich as they can while they're in power. And it's not just the Tories, because it's become just like a bit of a slap fight between all of the parties in the UK and probably most Western parties as well, to be honest. I can't say much. I don't watch much politics other than the UK and US, but over in the US it's the same with the Republicans and the Democrats. They care less about serving their country care more about
swinging fucking competition.
It's like, oh, we got this many voters and we were in power for this thing. It's like, no, can someone actually come forward with a vision, like on how they think they're actually going to better the country and better the people that live in the country, rather than just coming with a vision on how long they're going to stay in power for? Because there is something broken with your country. Like, it's broken at that point.
Yeah.
When people in power start thinking that way.
Literally, the basis of like being in that position is to the thing you need to do is like, all right then, how do you improve? Like, how do you improve your nation?
Yeah.
And obviously, this very simple thing is you want to increase standard of living.
Yeah.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
I was about to say just like morale, but that is true. Morale, like public, like public views and opinions and like general state of mind. So and then you've got like medical care. I think they're all the important, like the four main ones anyway. Like infrastructure covers your electricity, gas, water, amenities, stuff like that, like toilets, clean water, all this stuff that everybody just takes for granted, essentially. But it's very important.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that allows you to not have to think about it. Because you could be, you could be some poor person on the other side of the world who's, lives in a mud house sort of thing and drinks typhoid water, and it's...
How many is it? How many people live in caves in China? 5 million, something like that?
It's just ridiculous.
Might even be
It's like...
in the tens of millions,
fact that
I'm not sure.
It shocks so many people, but at the same time, so many people go, oh no, it can't phase.
It's a not in my backyard mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will probably, unless you want to make your last point now, because we're running out of time. We're overrunning a little bit on how much we've been talking about this.
Don't worry about it, baby.
Now, what's your final roundup?
I just think that I agree a lot with we need new vision, new fresh meat. We need someone different, someone fresh on the scene, someone new, someone with a good perspective.
I'm not necessarily overly anti-establishment, but genuinely needs a complete overhaul.
Politics has always been a dirty game.
What, has it always? Always?
Well, it's definitely it developed very early on into a dirty game and has gotten probably only progressively worse.
I mean, you're always going to get scumbags like that have the wrong intentions.
Of course.
But for everyone in the game, like Jeremy Corbyn is like, I love him. I love Jeremy Corbyn. I want to believe he's a nice guy, but I can't.
Corbyn dab.
Yeah, I genuinely think the political system needs a complete overhaul.
Well,
of priorities, if anything.
It's like with when Trump and Clinton were running, and you had Bernie.
Oh, Bernie.
And you had Bernie, and Bernie Sanders was my equivalent of like the US equivalent of Jeremy Corbyn for me, because it was just like he's an old guy, he's really nice, and he talks a lot of sense. Like, don't get me wrong, they were offering all these changes and all this stuff to improve all of it, and obviously everyone's first question is like, well, we're going to get the money to do that, and they're like, well, we're going to have to increase some taxes here and do these bits here, and everyone goes, whoa, it's terrible, but that's how the system works. That's how it was made. The entire point is that as a collective, we put money in so we can fund this free public stuff, so we don't have to openly pay it all the time, so you spend more money over time and have less money for ourselves and lower our rate of living.
I mean, the Labour Party in England isn't perfect. Jeremy Corbyn isn't perfect,
no,
and the biggest thing that he gets hit on is his numbers, right?
How many different scenarios and examples have been of racism, like big issues of racism in the Labour Party? Many members have had to.
The biggest thing that Corbyn gets hit on was, like, especially during Brexit, was like his numbers and how much money, like where he's just getting from nowhere.
Yeah.
But the thing is that at least he's trying to spend the money he does have on things that better people, on things, like making houses fit for human habitation.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Think basic needs like that. At least he's spending the money in the right places. Whereas you're just screaming, no, you can't spend all that money. How will we afford our fucking boats and yachts and world trip to Mars? I don't fucking know. Whatever Tories do in their spare time.
We are but mere peasants. We do not know.
Clash them. Anyway, I think that'll do for that.
We'll wrap that up
because we're overstepping a little bit. I wanted to talk about some League of Legends. You've been watching some League of Legends recently. I haven't seen the SKTRNG game yet.
It was incredible.
I have watched the Cloud9 WE game from last week, which
also
I want to talk about first.
Not as incredible, but very funny. Very entertaining.
Well, for me, I haven't seen the SKT game, but the Cloud9 game was very good. We came out and we said 3-1, I think both of us said.
Yeah, was it 3-1 to WE, I think?
Yeah. Cloud9 played exceptionally well.
I think when I was watching these guys both in groups, they were very similar. Like they had quite chaotic early games. They have good team fight. They do overstep, but it is normally a gamble, and sometimes that gamble really does pay off. Like because they're all individually good and mechanical and are quite decent for their role and stuff like that. And they got good team synergy. I think, especially Cloud9. Cloud9 have a really good team synergy.
I think in this series, what impressed me most about Cloud9 was their decisiveness to take an objective. They would see an objective and they would go for it. And most of you know what? For the first 4 games, it was really working, and it really works really well. But the 5th game is the one I really wanted to talk about because WE, the way they play the map in that 5th game blew my mind. Every time they were perfectly positioned, and it sounds easy in the thing, right? It's like, well, they're all going top to get that kill, so we go bottom to get this turret, kind of thing. And it sounds simple. It is not that simple to pull off.
Well, no. The big factors are, especially if you don't have vision of all 5 of the enemy team, especially if it's 2 or more, and you can only see 1 or 2 people in top and mid, and you want to push out bot lane. You got no vision, and there's 2 or 3 of them missing. You can't push that safely because you'll get caught out, and then suddenly they get forward wards, and then they can grab an objective, whether it be the dragon that's available or a first blood turret, or they go to the other side and they start an early baron, which has happened a lot in this year's Worlds.
But WE's map, just the fact that every time Cloud9 made a move, every time Cloud9 went on the aggressive, like they do, and they tried to take something quick, WE would just match them, if not take more, every time on the other side of the map. They would give up the kills, maybe even a turret, but then they would take 2 turrets on that side of the map, 2 turrets and a dragon, 1 turret and a dragon.
They evolved kind of through this best of 5.
They just... the 5th game was so crisp. It genuinely made me feel sorry for Cloud9, because coming into the 5th game, I'm not an NA fan, by any means of the imagination.
No, you most certainly are not.
I really dislike NA. I felt sorry. I literally looked at you and I was like, I feel bad for C9 after this game. Yeah. I was like, I feel bad for him because I feel like NA has never been to the semi-finals in Worlds. And Cloud9, if any team was going to do it, it would be this team that has just revolutionised the NALCS. NALCS in Season 3 was just fucking awful. And Cloud9 came in summer. They just crushed everything. And from there, everything in NALCS has gone upwards. They are the pivotal team for NALCS. So if any NALCS team was going to make it to semis, it would be this one for me.
Well,
and to see them and it wasn't like C9 played bad. It was just WE played better. It's just C9 definitely tried to play to their strengths. They went aggressive. They went early. They played well. They were taking things. WE were just taking that much more everywhere else.
Yeah,
it was like there was nothing you could
do. I think that this is getting back onto what I was saying about like the gambling kind of part to it. Is that Cloud9 tend to bet all their chips a lot. They tend to go all in and hope for a high mechanical play because they can pull off high mechanical plays.
I didn't see that in the 5th game though. It just looked to me like WE played perfectly.
This is the difference. It's the 5th game, Cloud9, right? Both teams, like I'll say, even by comparison, through the early game of SKT and RNG in their 5th game.
Yeah.
It was the early game was all macro.
Yeah.
And it was all about feeling each other out and getting the right wards down and maybe having a poke, maybe trying to steal camp. Oh. And you just...
feeling each other out and having a poke.
No, well, we just have to censor it. It was day. No, but like... WE would definitely... like, this best of 5 started out as... who can be more mechanically better in this team fight? And then the one wins a game, one wins a game, one wins a game, and you go right down to the line. Gets to the 5th game, they're like, right, okay, we're actually going to have to think our way out of this one properly. And I think WE are as proven, were the smarter team. They're the one who adapted better to rotate more efficiently, to get better vision down, to get more objectives, as well as still having the team fight essence that they work with. So they literally evolved into a better team by the end of this best of 5. Going from the very, I would call, inconsistent climb through groups where they were doing well, but they also lost a lot of games and they made mistakes.
Yeah.
And through their split, they were quite strong at home, but then haven't been as strong on the international stage. But at the same time, you still can't take it away that they got to quarters and they were one step away from semis, which would have been crazy for the organisation and the team.
Brilliant.
Well, they are in semis. What am I talking about? They're against Samsung.
Oh, you mean WE?
Yeah. Alright, I'm being a dog. It's fine.
It's okay.
Well, it is the same thing for Cloud9. Like it would have been so important. Even if they got knocked, they wouldn't even care all that much if they got knocked out in semis. It'd have been like, we got to fucking semis. And what? You know.
I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Top 4 in the world. Take that.
Yeah, I would. Now,
but you know, at the end of the day, WE just played it better.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I was blown away by WE's map movement. It stunned me. If we had more time, I would love to run through literally every detail. I plan to, but I'll say that for now.
It's time for
I haven't seen this best of 5.
Favourite best of 5 so far.
I haven't seen this best of 5, but Afro keeps going on to me about how it was amazing. I was watching the football. Okay, I was sat there watching football in the living room, and Afro was in the study watching this game, and all I would hear,
that's incredible.
Every time was,
oh my god,
and it was just, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? And he, like, literally every 10 minutes or so, be like, dude, this is the best series I've ever seen in my life. It's like, it's 10 minutes into game 1. What the fuck are you on? And what about this series was so amazing? Walk me through it.
Do you know what? The first 2 games, I almost liked. Like, if I was to rate like from like the best to the worst out of each of the 5 games that they played, the 5th game is the best one because it was the highest level of League of Legends I've watched in a long time.
Okay.
It was. They both played immaculately.
Okay.
Then, like, second would be game 1.
Okay.
Where they just had this early game where it was just bloody. Like, from level 2, there was fighting. Level 3, fighting again. Level 4, fighting again. And there was five kills over to RNG and only 2 to SKT. And it's just, like, RNG just started snowballing off of we're going to walk into the jungle and just go, this is ours. And they just did it. And it was crazy to see that against SKT, because the fact that SKT were, like, not ready for it, as well as the fact that a lot of the times they had to concede and they had to go accept, right, they're gonna come in and take my blue buff, like, oh, all right then, sort of thing. And the second game was very similar too. Except SKT won that one.
Okay.
But it was back and forth. It was like RNG won the first game, SKT won the second game, RNG win the third game, SKT win the fourth game. And then everyone was going, what? Like,
see,
it always came to a big team fight around an objective.
Yeah.
About 30 minutes in, and it would basically positioning was the most important thing, because it would always be Uzi. I think pretty much played Twitch, maybe 3 or 4 out of 5 of those games.
Yeah.
And obviously the Twitch late game carry is the ability to just to shred through the front line and just, you know, annihilate squishies. And same with Bang playing Cogmore. And they used to... this game was a lot of playing late game hyper ADCs and just waiting until 35 minutes when you can just cleanly get win 1v2s and win 1v3s.
Yeah.
Like, Uzi played Vayne in one of these games and he won. And it was crazy. It was like watching some like Masters video on YouTube where you're like, oh my god, how did that guy do all that crazy stuff?
Oh my god!
And you know what? It's annoying because that one guy is really, really good. And he's only actually in diamond,
Right?
and everybody else isn't actually that good by comparison. But this is not the case though. This is like two top tier teams going up against each other, and you see somebody just go, nah, easy. Nah.
Easy game, easy life.
Yeah, and it's...
He doesn't even like the game, does he? Which one is
Uzi.
it? Bang or Wolf? Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, no.
I was looking Bang or Wolf.
Wolf.
Wolf just genuinely
doesn't even
hates
like
League of Legends.
Doesn't even like League of Legends.
Just likes the game.
No,
he's just really good at it.
He definitely... Wolf had a bit of a bad start in the first 2 games, but really came back in the last 3.
Yeah.
Because I think more importantly, the one game I want to talk about is the 5th game.
Okay.
The 5th game was the same thing what I was talking about with the C9WE best of 5, where like people play more like macro and more and a lot safer and try to go for safe picks
Less
and
like
opportunities.
kill focus, more objective focus.
And it was just like fucking beautiful to watch. Like there was one specific thing that the jungler on MLXG,
Okay.
I think he's playing Sejuani, and the Jarvan comes in for the steal, like to steal the big raptor, and she uses the mace club thing that she does. She does the wide strike and then a long strike. The wide strike knocks back, and she knocks it out of the way so his dragon strike doesn't steal it, and then just kills it. And it's just little things like that happen here, there, and then. I was just like, they're just showing off. Like, this is just 10 minutes of laning phase just to show off.
To have that swagger on an international stage.
I know, and they're up against what would be essentially, at this point, was 2 of the biggest rivals from 2 different regions.
Yeah.
You're talking about the China team and the Korean team going head to head. Also, it's a bit of a revenge match because of the finals in season 3, and it's like Uzi has been to Worlds 3 times, has not won the cup, okay, and he's a very, very, very good
still
AD
hasn't.
carry. And he still hasn't. This is incredible, but
just not good enough.
it was SKT's ability. Just they punish all mistakes, and I always say like Huni's like Super Saiyan, okay. And he just, the more games he plays, the better he gets.
Okay.
Honestly, he just got better and better as he played. And the 5th game, the amount of pressure he can put on split pushing when he plays Camille or especially his Gnar. He's had plenty of seasons to play that Gnar. He's played I think 2 seasons of playing Gnar, and like his Gnar was really good. And the engages he can get with that. The split push pressure, the team fight.
Here's the thing, though. I was kind of disappointed to hear the result. I thought when SKT got taken to 5 games by Misfits, that RNG would walk them.
I've definitely agreed with
honest.
what Froscarin said, where she said that when they were picking who they thought were going to win before it starts, she did pick RNG, but she definitely classed it as an upset. Because she did state about how SKT have looked the weakest that they've ever been. Yeah, especially because they gave into it 5 games to Misfits, the 3rd seed from Europe. Like that's a very interesting thing to happen. Like obviously they beat them, which is, if not anything, expected. But to be taken to 5 games is not a usual thing. Like people don't normally take SKT to 5 games. I
was kind of disappointed to hear that RNG didn't do better. I watched the games. I can't have an opinion on how they played, obviously. Yeah. But I thought RNG would take this.
I think a big shout out to RNG's jungler who MLXG on Nocturne, because I genuinely am going to ban Nocturne every game now.
I'm more excited for the Wolf on Blitzcrank. Was it that you said?
Yeah, it was Wolf on Blitzcrank.
I want that. I need more of that.
It wasn't anything impressive, to be fair.
Daddy Wolf, grab me.
It wasn't that great, to be fair. I mean, it's not that he played it bad. He's very used to the engaged things. He's a good thresh, and
I think everybody can play Blitzcrank, right?
Well, it's very simple.
If Jamie can play Blitzcrank, I think Jamie's our bronze friend. If Jamie can play, I
think he's silver now.
Same thing. If Jamie can play Blitzcrank, anybody can play Blitzcrank. What then do you think about the game is it tomorrow? Samsung versus WE.
See, for that game, I think considering Samsung 3-0'd Longzhu, which I don't think anyone was expecting that at all. Like,
no.
Samsung seemed to remember who they were and obliterated
Samsung White predecessors into them.
I know. It's like they just annihilated them. Like, it's not even the fact that it's not like Longzhu didn't try. Like, they had good early games. They always had the lead at the beginning. But Samsung just knew how to play the map and knew how to stall them out and wait for their power spikes and pick better fights and take less gambling conditions.
How many games in? I'm assuming you're. That's the Samsung hype train.
I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna be safe and I'm gonna say 3-1.
3-1 to Samsung.
Just because I think WE have what I think may only get one chance.
Okay.
To catch.
This will be out after that game. I hope you know.
Yeah, I know. But
I think
honestly, I think 3-0 to Samsung is not unseeable.
I don't think this, but I want this. This is going to be my prediction. WE 3-2.
No,
I reckon WE are going to take it because I'm bored of all Korean World Championship.
It's going to be all Korean, mate.
I'm bored of it.
I said it. The moment I saw the results for semis, I was like, "It's sorry." Because you know why? Because they didn't pitch up against Korean versus Korean, China versus China. They did the other way because you would, right?
What about...
Which always means Koreans win.
What about...
The only way to do it is to make the Chinese fight themselves. Then one of them can proceed.
What then? Your final is then SKT versus
then it would
Samsung.
Then it would have been an SKT RNG final.
That would have been good.
Because RNG would definitely 3-0.
Would you... Okay. Your predicted final is SKT versus Samsung. Would you rather have seen the SKT RNG series or SKT versus Samsung in the final?
I mean, considering it's in China, how much I do like Royal, even from back in Season 3 and all the way through, that I've always liked them as a team. And I would have loved to have seen a Korean-China final. Even
you like to have seen, like you've written off WE completely now.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I would have loved to have seen a China. There's still a Chinese team in competition, man.
No, there isn't.
There's no competition.
No, there isn't.
There's just Korea.
There's just Koreas. Just Koreas doing some training.
Just Koreas
doing some Chinese training. Chowing down, literally.
Beginning to the local cuisine, eating some Chinese teams for breakfast.
Yeah.
Nice. So, okay, SKT versus Samsung.
RNG gave the fucking best shot. And I think WE have potential for possibly one game.
Alright, now fuck China now. SKT versus Samsung final. Who wins?
Oh, okay.
Fuck China.
Right.
We've dismissed them.
This is going to be crazy because I'm going to call 5 games.
Ooh, SKT Samsung. This is
I think SKT have shown a lot of big weaknesses.
Okay.
And there's been definitely inconsistent. As much as Huni did get progressively better in that best of 5 and was pivotal to how they won the 5th game, and as well as the 3rd game. But at the same time, Samsung have gone from having some like the odd bit of difficulty, to 3-0ing Longzhu, to go up against WE, who I don't think are as strong as Longzhu as a team. I think Samsung are in a more positive place right now, and I think I feel like with that in mind, because you can't underestimate the ability to play with confidence. Well, if you've got that self-belief in that play, there's so much more potential to it, especially when you're convinced that you can do it. And I think, I don't know, SKT are monsters. And by all means, it's the safest pick normally. When if you were to guess, a safe guess of who's going to win Worlds, you would put down SKT.
Well, I've never been called a safe man, and I
like
should
to live
never be
dangerously.
I should never be allowed money in casinos, because my prediction is that WE are going to win Worlds 3-2 over SKT. Don't laugh at me.
You're mad.
That's what I'm going.
WE, whatever.
Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't put money on it. Any money. However,
WWE
I would
have already proven themselves to make it to semis.
Yeah, now they can win. The Chinese team is out. The number one Chinese team is out.
Yeah, but
WE are meant to
always
be
out in groups, right?
WE are meant to be like.
Wait, did EG ever make it? They must have made it out of quarters before.
Yeah, but not in this world.
I know. I was just thinking
it died.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is not the first time that they've died in a group stage.
No.
And that's the problem. I think EDG as an organisation has dropped.
The worst they've done before now was the time that Fnatic 3-0'd them in quarters.
Excellent. That was a good day.
I wouldn't put money on WE beating SKT, but just I reckon the crowd.
Well, you were always a dreamer,
and they're the strongest Chinese team statistically. I think, agreeing with Frosk, I think they're the strongest Chinese team. RNG are good.
They are China's last hope.
They are China's last hope. I think the crowd is going to be mad for them.
They gotta be.
Because
they were definitely quiet when that fifth game ended and SKT won, and it was a brutal win. It was just a night getting Baron, getting a 5-0 team fight like clean. No, I think only one person on SKT maybe got under half health. Like it was just they flattened them and then just won, and like seeing the face cams, my God, they of course, of course you'd be devastated. They got so fucking close, man.
Yeah.
But for me, Samsung, SKT, 5 games. I want one hell of a spectacle.
Okay.
I want the Korean self-destruction.
Well,
kill your brother to evolve.
We shall see. I thought this podcast would be a little bit shorter than the first episode, to be honest, but it's about the same, I think.
I like to talk a lot.
How long was the first one? I don't even know.
An hour and 20.
Someone tell us. I don't know. What are we doing? Yeah, cool. We're gonna cut it now though. Thanks for listening, guys. We're still trying to get better. We're still trying to improve on this. On this. This is new for us and something we're quite passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, I want to do more.
Yeah, for
sure.
I
hope people like it.
I would love people to like it.
Tell us in the comments.
Like me. Yeah, I don't know, guys.
Nothing about your your perception on social media or anything. Give me likes.
Give me likes now. No, guys. Seriously, thanks for tuning in. We hope to keep getting better with each podcast that we do, and we shall see you next Sunday, as is the usual.
If there's any topics you guys would like us to particularly talk about, you should mention them in the comments. And as always, like and subscribe. Take care, guys.
Bye.